There we are live.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Connecting Life podcast. I'm your host, Diana Boskma, and I'm here to help you connect the dots of life so that you can live your best life in a healthy and fulfilling way. Today, I'm talking with Lucy Wooldridge. She's a good friend of mine, and she's also an NLP and resilience coach. And overall, I think she's just a wonderful human being. So, Lucy, would you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Hello. Oh, how lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Wow, what do you want to know about myself? Well, yes, I'm an NLP Resilience Coach, which sounds very fancy to saying I'm a mindset coach. I'm a mum of 2 children. I've got a dog, a cat, guinea pig. I used to have a fox, but he's moved on.
Oh,
Yeah, wild
that's
fox.
cool.
He's moved on to pastures new. Yeah, and this is me. So nice to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, Lucy and I will talk about resilience, as she's a resilience coach. And I always love that topic. So, what does resilience mean to you, Lucy?
Well, that's changed in meaning over the years. I used to think it meant never giving up,
Yeah.
just endure and put up. And if you can tolerate it, you're resilient.
Mm.
But that just that just feels so exhausting,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yes, it does.
And actually, in reality, that's not resilience at all. And sometimes resilience is part of that, part
Hmm.
of just being dedicated and committed. That is a
Hmm.
great sign of resilience. But actually, it's so much more than that. And it's so much more than just getting up after you trip. It's about, you hear all the time, resilience is just bouncing back.
Mm.
But actually, I think that undermines what resilience is. Because if you just bounce back without learning what tripped you in the first place, then
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
just repeating the same setbacks over and over.
Yeah.
So for me, resilience is about slowing down. It's about changing direction if you
Mm.
really need to change direction.
Yeah.
It's about learning from what tripped you up in the first place. Um,
Hmm.
and asking for help. That's a sign of resilience. It's not just about dealing with it all on your own. It's about asking for help, which sometimes, in my experience, people find the hardest thing to do.
Asking
Um,
for help is really hard for most people. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is, but
Yeah.
that can often be a stress response, a
Mm.
trauma response, or any of those responses that
Yeah.
we feel keep us safe. If we don't allow people to help us, if we can be more independent, if we can just deal with it on our own, then we must be resilient. We must
Mm.
be strong. But actually, asking for help is one of the strongest things you can do.
Yeah.
And stopping, like I say, stopping going down a path that's not serving you, changing direction. That's,
Yeah.
I think, the most resilient thing you can do. So yeah, resilience looks different for everybody every day. It's not something
Yes.
that you've either got or not got. Resilience, we all have the capacity for resilience, and
Yeah.
for me, that's what resilience is. Sometimes we can feel it. And when I talk to people about what resilience is, especially younger children, I I, I explain sometimes that it's like the sun in the sky. Now, we live quite close together, and we've been quite fortunate. We've had the
Yes.
sun a lot,
Yes.
but often it's very cloudy, it's rainy, it's stormy, it's overcast. This morning driving to school, it was really
Yep.
foggy.
It was.
But the sun was always there. We just couldn't feel it. We couldn't see it. So it was
The light
always
was
there.
there. Yeah.
The light was there. We could
Yep.
see something,
Yep.
but we couldn't feel it. But
No.
we knew that it was there, and that's resilience. We don't always feel it. We don't always see it within us. But sometimes we just have to breathe away, or get the help, or whatever it takes for us to
Yeah.
take the storm away, to shift the clouds, then we can see how resilient we really are. Never really goes. It just sometimes feels a bit harder to see because of all the overwhelm or the stress or the noise of the storm,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you see that. And while you were talking, I was thinking about toddlers, because I think they are one of the most resilient creatures on earth, because they
Goodness,
fall over, then they get up and they try again. But they do learn, and that's something that when you mentioned that, I never even thought about that, because they do learn from the falling over, and they do change direction. Like, sometimes something's too high, so they start at something that's lower, or they ask for help by putting their hands up, as in give me a hand or something. So they do all the resilient things that you mentioned, which is just kind of cool to think about.
that's a great analogy, and I use that a lot. When your children are learning to walk, they don't. That's the other thing. They don't wait for confidence.
No.
People think confidence is what it takes to take an action that you've not done before, but that's not true, because the baby isn't confident to walk. It
No.
just doesn't know the risk, and it's a risk taker. Like
Yeah.
toddler, wow, it's like fearless, and a toddler doesn't overanalyze, doesn't
Mm.
overthink, doesn't judge himself, herself.
Yeah.
It When a toddler learns to walk, just an action taker. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what resilience is as well. And sometimes we
Yeah.
give ourselves too much grace when we have to take action. Sometimes it's the
Yeah.
other way around. We're too busy taking action, not giving enough grace. Whereas a toddler won't even think about that. And as you
No.
say, just stumble along. And we applaud as parents. We see our toddlers and they're tripping over, they're walking around like little drunk people, falling over, and we say, yay!
Yeah.
We applaud, and when they get back up, we applaud again. Yay, well done, keep going. To the point where then they get to this stage, and you'll know it when we just want them to sit down.
Mm.
Okay, now just sit down. Be still. But
Yes.
that's resilience, and we
Yeah. Yeah.
forget that it was always part of us.
Yeah. So what do you think creates that we forget, or whatever happens? Because for some reason I see every toddler just doing whatever. They don't
Mm,
think about things. They just keep going, they keep doing, and they keep learning. And they learn so much in those years. Those first 4 years, they learn like way more than they'll ever learn in their lives. And they
sure.
keep doing it without
Yeah.
thinking, without stressing out about it. It just is. They just do it.
Mm,
What changes, do you think? Because something changes, because most of us as adults, we will not just do something.
mm,
The select few will, because there are some who never lose it. But the majority of people seem to lose that ability to even just get up at times to try again.
sure. Yeah. What happens?
Yeah, what happens?
What
That's it.
happens? I mean, that's what I've been asking for
Mm,
lots of years since even as
yeah.
a kid, like. And just keeping with the example of children, I remember when my son, my eldest, he's 13 now, when he first went to school, he was 4 years old. So between 4 and 5, he started being scared of failing.
Mm,
And I thought, wow, what's
yes.
this?
Yeah.
You know, he's scared of getting something wrong, like a spelling or, something, but something to do
Yeah.
with school. I remember that thinking, and I remember
Yeah.
having this thought, wow, where did this come from? And I was
Hmm.
thinking, is it a school thing? But actually, it's not. It's our it's our little protector inside. We,
Hmm.
we, we develop this protector,
Yeah.
these things that are there to protect us, that tell us to stay safe.
Hmm.
Just that's why we're all people pleasers, to stay
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
That's why we're all scared to fail, to stay safe. That's
Hmm.
why we have relationships with people who may not work for us, but just to stay safe. So
Yeah.
from from the age of 4, 5, 6, and then it just adds on and on and on. We have
Hmm.
these saboteurs in our
Mm,
heads that comes along and tells us just to be safe. Don't do that. Don't come out of your comfort zone. Don't take a risk.
yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, we start analyzing that, we start trusting that, and we start
Hmm.
believing that voice in our heads that tell
Yeah.
us it's just not enough, or you're not enough, or you can't
Hmm.
do that, you're not strong enough. So
Yeah.
we've got that aspect, our own minds telling us that we're not
Yeah.
good enough, not strong enough, not resilient enough. Oh, other people
Hmm.
can do it, why not you? So we have this kind of and I know you know a lot about this, but the judges that live in our heads telling us,
Yeah.
I know that you know a lot about that.
Yes, I've done that whole training. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And on the other side of resilience is the resources that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually 3 things to measure to help us with our resilience.
Yeah.
First of all, it's how we see the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so how you and I, we might be sitting together at the cafe having a cup of tea or coffee, very close together, but even being so close together, our perception of the world will be very different.
Yes, it's
I'll have
completely different.
my perception, you'll have your perception, we might be sitting
Yep.
in the same area, but we will
Yep.
see it differently.
Yes. We even experience the tea differently, even if we have the same tea.
Exactly. So how we engage in the world, how we perceive the world, what stories we tell ourselves, all shape how resilient we are and how we respond to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. The other thing is the amount of resources that we have to help us with our resilience.
Mm-hmm.
The strategies, the people around us, the services around us, they will all inform how resilient we can be. And the third one, I think, is to do with the quality of the resources.
That will make a big difference, yeah.
It will make a big difference.
Yes. Yep.
Make a big difference. So, for example, if we look at mental health resources, for example, there might be lots of it around, but if the quality is not good, if it's not the right fit for you, then
Yes.
there's a gap there missing,
Well, that's something that I have noticed around me, is that people who need help, they have pretty much one thing available currently, and that's CBT, but that's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's only 6 weeks, which is for quite some people not enough, because they deal with bigger things than what you can resolve in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that leaves people, as one of my friends said, she had this thing of, so I've had 6 weeks, I'm now left bleeding. What am I going to do? And yeah, she wasn't wrong, because she was in a worse place than when she started, but they had this thing, now you need to integrate it. And she was lost, completely lost, but it was 6 weeks, that was it.
Yeah.
And yes, you can get more, but then you have to keep going, keep going, keep going. And people who struggle with their mental health find that really hard, I've noticed. So then they need a bit more help than to actually access the tools, the resources that are available. And that's
Absolutely.
sometimes difficult. Yeah.
And we look to ourselves and we think, well, there's something wrong with me. How come I couldn't fix myself in 6 weeks? If 6 weeks is the thing, that must work for most people. But that's not how it is.
It isn't.
It isn't. And people aren't broken.
No.
The system might be broken at times,
Yes.
but people are not broken.
I actually think the system is all around the world regularly broken.
Yes,
So
it's not just a UK thing. But
no, it isn't.
But and that's actually, that's why I wanted to set up my own business as well in terms of coaching.
Yeah.
And I don't work with people who are, so they need this really intense mental health support. That would not be my service, no. Right? Yeah. And I used to work in mental health services, and I know the pull that they have, and I also know the great work that they can do. But I don't deliver that work. But what I wanted to do was set up a practice where I didn't have the red tape of 6 weeks, or I didn't have the red tape of it had to be this postcode, or this particular problem. I wanted to work with people with any background, anywhere around the world. It doesn't even have to be in the UK. I didn't want to be confined to just one goal. So I started this journey, professional journey, working in addiction. It was amazing. I learned so much about resilience then.
Yes, I can imagine.
And humans and myself. And when I set up Resilience with Lucy back in 2020, I wanted to design my own framework, draw from all the training, all the experience, all the research that I chose to do, and then think a bit more, outside the box, I guess. And that's why I set up my business. Yeah. And when I looked at, shall I niche down, or shall I work with a particular group? And I was just I wanted to work with everybody. But what I wanted to niche down to, I guess, if you have a niche, I guess, was actually, I'm not going to work with a particular demographic anymore. I'm actually just going to work, my niche is going to be resilience. And so I did further research on that, and found, it's not, it's when people say, why aren't I as strong as that person? Or why can't I do it? We all have the capacity. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And I thought, people just need to know this, and they need to understand how to nurture it. And it's about nurturing, not being defeated because you don't feel it. It's like, let's see if we can nurture that in a particular way.
Yeah. I think that sounds really good, actually, to nurture it. Because that's one thing that we don't really learn to nurture ourselves with our capabilities. It's frequently that people just get really frustrated with themselves for what they don't do, instead of that they are proud of what they do. Because when you start thinking about what people do, so many people do so many amazing things, but they will see it from another person, but not from themselves. But the moment you start to focus on what you have done and nurture your inner knowing, your inner strength and resilience, then you can even reach greater things, I think, because then you start to focus on that, and what you focus on, as they say, grows.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's hard, isn't it, though? Because we all have those days and weeks and even months where we think, oh my God, what is going on? And we become, I think, attached to the type of person that we think we ought to be, the version of ourselves we think we ought to be. And we forget that actually we can create the version of ourselves who can do anything,
Yes.
and let's see what that version looks like, and let's play around. And that's fun too. I know that you've done a lot of work on this as well, and helping people create a version of themselves that is resilient, or is like whatever. You just choose whatever word you want: committed or dedicated or funny or creative, or and that's part of achieving your goals. Is you don't really need to focus on your goals. You need to focus on who you need to be.
Yeah, it's different focus and so much more rewarding. Because when you focus on yourself, you're also starting to take more care of yourself. For the goal, you don't have time for yourself frequently. But when you focus on yourself, then the happiness advantage was one of those books that really made it clear to me that it's about me. It's not about what I want to do. Because in that book, there's even described that when you take good care of yourself. So he's the author is a researcher and also teaches at a university, and he was working with a group, and some of them, they were making sure they had a good time in life and taking good care of themselves, and others were just focusing on their studies. And the ones that were not so focused but were focused on themselves, they in the end did better and ended up with better careers because they were happier and just overall feeling much better. And when you feel much better, you do better.
So
when you push yourself like crazy, it's gonna be much harder to even get there. That was fascinating to read. That book is just really good.
That's
really
lovely.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. What book is that?
The Happiness Advantage by.
Oh yes, I haven't read it. I have heard of it.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
I'm going to add that to my list.
Yeah, it was quite eye-opening to read for me. Because that ties in with resilience, because happiness and resilience go hand in hand, I've realized as well. Because the more happy you are, the more resilient you are as well. So working on that part of yourself to just have a good time with yourself.
Exactly. And it's not, when you see on Facebook or whatever social media, and you get all this kind of toxic positivity messages, and it's like, but that's like resilience and gratitude, and what you're talking about isn't denying that actually sometimes it's really hard and it's really difficult, and things are it's not denying that rubbish things happen. It's about, okay, it's happened, what can we do? And that's growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just pretending that everything's fine.
That won't work.
No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So it's not living in a fairy tale. It's
Mm-hmm.
living in the real world with a growth mindset where you can appreciate what you have and
Mm-hmm.
what you want to be and who you want to be and what you want to do, while nurturing the resilience
Yeah.
to cope with everything else that's thrown at you.
Because there will be plenty. Because that's just what life does.
That's what life is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't need to make it worse by not nurturing ourselves. We have to look after ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely one of those things that every training I've done on coaching and all sorts of other things, it's always about start with yourself, take good care of yourself, and from there on, you can handle things better.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
when you're in a good place, it's like mums. As a mother, when you're not in a good place, how are you going to take care of your kids? It's like in the airplane. When you don't put the oxygen mask on, how are you going to help anybody else?
Exactly.
So it always starts with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can always tell if I'm having a bit of a rubbish time, I think, well, what am I missing? And I can always tell when it's like, oh, I haven't done the stuff that I've needed to do, like get the fresh air, walk the dog, stuff for me, or been neglecting myself. And I mean, like you say, life still happens, but it's how you engage with it. By looking after yourself, you engage with it in a much more effective way.
Yes.
I think. But and that's all part of emotional literacy as well, and being aware, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
We do a lot of emotional literacy in our coaching,
Mm.
helping people become more aware of their emotions, and it's a little bit, one of the biggest lies we tell each other is when somebody says, "Oh, how are you? What's going on? You seem a bit tired. You seem a bit frustrated. Whatever." And we say, "I'm fine." And it's the biggest lie we tell people.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just don't want to burden somebody else asking for help, and sometimes it's because we don't know how to express it in a way that will still keep us owning it without thinking, can I just land this on you? And we just come up with these words. And what I like to do is, liken it to learning a new language. And let's say you go to France and you don't know French at all. You might learn the odd word. You might know how to order a cup of coffee in French. And that's great, that they have really nice coffee. But it's very limited. However, if you start learning more the language, your experiences are just going to be so much more vast and colourful and bright. And you can order, your full meal, and you can order wine, and you can go and see different places and have much more wonderful experiences. And that's like learning a language of your emotions. If you start learning how to express yourself in a different way, you'll not only understand yourself in your own language, but you'll understand other people too more. And that's great for that empathy, So it's learning the language of emotion.
And there's the nuances in that language is actually so cool. Some years ago with a home education group, we were doing a whole feature on that with the kids. Yeah, and that was primary school kids that we did that with, and it was about learning which words mean what, because most of these words are not really all that commonly used. And it was just fascinating to see how they could so much easier explain how they were feeling after a couple of months. It was beautiful. Yeah,
So
really
important.
loved it. Mm-hmm.
It's good, and it's good to teach at that age as well, and as adults we struggle with it. So if we can teach at a younger age, and then it's like being bilingual.
Yes.
Teaching a foreign language at a young age. I wish I could have done that, but
And the more words you know for certain emotions, the more detailed you can express it, and it's just really cool.
Yeah,
I really find it fascinating to learn more and more words of certain emotional states. I don't know. I'm still learning about it because there's so many words.
Well, I think when you become aware, and then you can identify it more.
Yeah.
And once you identify, then you can do something that's more fitting.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. Yeah. And when you said about people, you ask how they're doing, and they say they're fine. That actually reminded me of a friend of mine. When I have a call with him, he sits back and he has this, let me check. And then he literally checks himself, and then he tells me how he's feeling. And it's really cool to experience someone
Excellent.
really sitting with themselves for a little bit,
Oh,
and then telling you how they're doing. And he's never short with it. It's never just fine or I'm
yeah.
okay or not too bad or anything. Never anything like that. He really goes into more detail about it. It's usually a couple of minutes that we talk about it. And it's just
Oh, I
really
love
cool.
that. I
Yeah.
love that. And you know this, so when you are asking him, you're genuinely curious.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not just, oh, how are you? See, you want to engage and you want to
Yes.
know that you're interested. That's
Yeah.
I like that. It's like you're sitting back looking at the menu. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what is it that I am today?
Yeah.
Nice.
And he's also really good with words because
Mm,
he's an author and
mm,
a language teacher, whatever he does. Or
mm.
so, and he does it on a uni level. Poet, he does all that kind of stuff. So words, he's got the words. So the moment he then starts talking, it's really fascinating because then that then also checks in with the bit about knowing the words, because the more words you know, the more interesting it is to talk about how you feel, I guess. And also
Absolutely.
listening to someone talking about how they feel.
Hmm. Yeah, it adds a layer, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool. So, we've had, I think, about 25 minutes now that we were talking. So we've had quite a nice conversation.
That was fast.
And oh yeah, it always does. So my next question for you is, when people want to contact you, where and how can they do that? Do you have any places for them to?
Yeah, like most people, I am in the socials. So you can check me out on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on Instagram. And I have got a free Facebook group as well that people can join just to get a bit more insight. And I've got a website. If people want to contact me directly, you can do that via
All
there.
right. All right. I will make sure that these details of those places are in the description of the video. And then I want to tell you that I really enjoyed our conversation. It was really cool. Really liked how you look at resilience and how you explain things to all of us. That was really, really interesting.
Thank
So I
you.
want to thank you for joining me today, and hopefully we can have another conversation at some other time.
I'd love that. Thank you. And thank you for being curious. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. See you some other time. Bye.
Bye.